Yet he is sometimes disturbed. Even at a hunt, he can whisper, "My little business in the provinces, it isn't doing too well." He returns home, then reassured because he's nothing if not an optimist, he's off again on another tour. In Tunisia, he is received, saluted, entertained. Still smiling, he is taken for something of a ride. In short, le président est bien content. Monsieur Lépine, prefect of police, is also happy, at least for a policeman. In Paris, he is opening a station for another railway, full-sized in this case. In America, it is known as the subway. In London, as the underground. In Paris, as the metro. Monsieur Lépine, with his guests, sets out on an inspection of this new kind of underworld. The new subterranean realm has launched a new style of architecture, the modern or metro style, as it is called by those who regret it. Its inspiration is industry itself. Industry with its open use of steel and iron, its frank functionalism, with something, as one critic put it, of the disorder of nature thrown in. Tastes in interiors, no less than exteriors, are changing. Monsieur Majorel's innovational furniture was a sensation at the exposition. He is certain that the search for novelty need not conflict with good taste. An allegorical nude is shown, a product of the new Bronze Age. Though undeniably traditional in her contours, she symbolizes modernism. The salon leads us to manners, indeed to etiquette. Do you know how to sit down, asks Baroness de Staff, author of Advice to the Worldly. Do you know how to walk in a hobble skirt and to conserve those graceful movements which are music to men's eyes? It is up to date to offer the left hand to a female acquaintance who offers you her right. This, of course, is something ladies should never do in the presence of a gentleman. If we are among intimate friends, we can let ourselves go a little, without going so far as to cross our legs in public. The same subtleties and judgment prevail in all facets of feminine existence. They dominate the sacred rites of selecting hats and hairdos. Hair, perfumed with the scent of violets or sandalwood, twisted into all shapes, these can only be achieved with the aid of experts. When you cover this elaborate handiwork with a hat and secure it with a hat pin, be careful not to injure the eyes that admire you. Any audacity is permitted, so long as you're certain it's in good taste. You could even improvise, slipping a spare handbag over your head, no matter that the bag is embroidered or edged with pearls. Another delicate subject is the choice of jewels. This also requires taste. Money, too. If, as a woman, you want to be in the height of fashion, you can drape yourself, as Marcel Prince does, in lamé, silver or gold or copper color. On the other hand, you may prefer, as does the equally famous Gabrielle Dorzia, light tules and the perfume of flowers. Or you may present, as the newest winter model, such a costume as this. These are gowns which only the great couturiers would dream of imposing upon the slaves of fashion. Sheaths of heavy black silk, cuirasses of velvet, coats of mail made of lace or jet. Capiello has immortalized the faces of the great designers. Monsieur Doyer, Jacques Doucet, Jean Worth, Caroline Raboux, Monsieur Rouff, who is so well versed in the caprices of women. But a brand new and shocking type of female, the sportswoman, is emerging. For obvious reasons, and reasons she wants to be obvious, she refuses to be imprisoned by long skirts. The public unveiling, so to speak, of the first girl in trousers creates a scandal. But women everywhere are on the march. Since they are beginning to do the work of men, it seems normal enough to have them wear masculine apparel. London has women electricians. Paris, it's women cabbies. Women are demanding a new life, new rights, too. They want liberty and equality, if not fraternity. The suffrage movement is in full swing. Mrs. Pankhurst is their leader. Her hat may not be pretty, but it's a statement of principles. Others elect to gain their ends in more feminine ways. They prefer persuasion to mass beatings. They find a sedate garden party an excellent means of weakening the stronger sex. Liberation is the slogan of the day. Liberation not only from male dictatorship, but from the restraints of that even more painful tyrant, the corset. The corset, some insist, is a Bastille. But its fall brings other problems, such as how to keep skirts, petticoats, and stockings from falling too. Women may not yet be entirely free, but at any rate they breathe more freely. Moreover, they can compare their figures partially or fully liberated from that instrument of torture which authorities now condemn in the name of health. A typical bromide of the period is, our grandmothers didn't expose their calves on bicycles, but somehow or other they stayed healthy. Another common remark is, one can't help wondering what's left for her husband. Modesty is becoming a lost art. Celebrated or unknown, the modern woman is eager to be photographed. Painted, too. Marcel Landais, for instance, the famous actress-dancer with the chalky cheeks, the white face, and the beautiful back. With her are Leon Pougy and Caroline Otero, known as La Belle Otero. Otero is beautiful, disturbing, and disturbed, as likely to dance at noon in the garden of an admirer as she is after midnight for the diners at the Café de Paris. Cléo de Maraude is another publicized figure from the gay and lurid Bohemia of Toulouse-Lautrec. At the exposition, she does an exotic dance from the Far East. Although the purists insist it's not quite authentic, they admit it's delightful and let it and her go at that. Excellent.
Okay, so I'm going to rewind this, and I'm going to test a film that has a lip sync, where someone's talking. I just want to check to see if the lip sync is any better with this new setup. Thanks everybody for watching, checking stuff out. Alright, we'll see if this works. Okay, so here's a new piece of equipment, relatively new. It's a film scanner, Blackmagic Cintel film scanner. I'm trying some experiments today to see if I can get a signal, video signal, off of the Blackmagic scanner, and if that signal is synced with audio. Because there's audio coming out, but the last film I tested, it was narration, so there's no lips to sync. So we're going to try this and see what happens. We've always got the fallback of the flash transfer, which is a great machine, but I'd like to switch things up a little bit. Okay, we're getting some tension here, and we are going to switch over. So we'll see what happens.
Here, in this inlet, on the east coast of Shetland, we're at the same latitude as Alaska and Greenland. And this post is where North Sea oil first comes ashore. But this isn't a travelogue. North Sea oil is why constructors John Brown are here. And they have a database, and we're here to find out why and how they use it. First of all, to find out why, we'll go up over the hill to Solemn Voe. You wouldn't expect to find a building site here, the northernmost fragment of the United Kingdom, completely treeless and never light in winter. But here in Solemn Voe, 32 oil companies are building this complex for oil from the Brent and Ninian oil fields 100 miles away. Oil already comes ashore here to be shipped out in tankers. The aim is that gas too will be processed here eventually. Ken Welsh speaks for BP, who operates the site.
The Solemn Voe terminal here in Shetland is currently receiving what we call dead crude oil. That is crude oil which has been stabilized at the offshore platforms and the gas removed there as well. So this crude oil is pumped to the terminal through 2 pipelines, put into storage, and then shipped out on crude oil tankers to refineries all over the country. The complication begins in 1980 when we have the process area on the terminal complete, and we will then be accepting crude oil and gas together, both as liquids, straight into the terminal, through the pigging station and right up to the process plant, where we stabilize the crude oil and remove the gas.
Constructors John Brown are in Shetland to build that process plant. We're going to look at how they use their database, and that depends on the problems here in Shetland. On site for CJB is Ernie Spratt, project engineer.
Everything has to come to us, either by air or sea. You, of course, have eliminated the chance of bringing something to you by road. You can't just pick a phone up and ask the local transporter to bring it round to the gate next morning.
One of the database users is Nick Markey, progress engineer.
The frustration of being an engineer on this site is getting materials up here. Probably the biggest problem is the fact that we're an island 120, 130 miles from the mainland, and even further from Aberdeen, and everything that comes here has to come by ship.
But it's not just transportation. In London, John Wilkinson, project manager, has to tangle with the problems of magnitude as well.
On the Solemn Voe project, we have something like 500 pieces of mechanical equipment. We have about 3,500 types and sizes of piping material, 20,000 instruments, about 500 or 600 types and sizes of electrical bulk material, and about the same sort of number of instrument bulk materials.
That's how big it is. But how do they solve the transportation problem?
Because on this project we're building pre-assembled racks and pre-assembled units. These are modules that we're building all over the UK and the continent. And this means that instead of sending all your materials to one site, you're sending it to 100 sites. And if you've got 3,500 types and sizes of piping material, that gives you something like about 300,000 different distribution points.
So it's all over the place, with components scattered all over Europe. What happens if CJB can't pull it together on time?
If in fact we haven't got a plant to extract that gas, then the owners of this terminal are faced with a flaring problem. That's if in fact they're allowed to bring the gas in. Now this means a lot of money wasted. I'm quoting figures from other sources, but I believe we're talking in terms of, for the Ninian field alone, approaching £20 million a year.
That's the problem. An inaccessible site that's expensive to run, and a fantastic £20 million worth of wasted gas if it's late. That requires manpower, materials, and planning. And it's the planning that involves the database. The manpower, all 5,000 plus of it, comes in by one of the 6 daily charter flights in aircraft affectionately known as paraffin budgies. And materials come the hard way, towed in by tugs and across the construction jetty.
These units are put on low loaders and trundled up onto the process plant, and using a number of very large cranes simply fitted together like a giant mechano set. Some of these pre-assembled units weigh in the region of 350 tons, which is really quite a large unit.
If a 350-ton pre-assembled unit arrives before CJB are ready, that's a problem. You can't clutter the site up with these. But if it arrives late, that's a problem too. CJB have got to be ready when this arrives. And being ready means planning. The latest forecast delivery date for each pre-assembled unit is one of the items of information that is vital to CJB. But units don't stand alone. Pipe runs end in mid-air for connection to the next unit. As a forecast delivery date changes, CJB have to be ready to reschedule work on other parts of this spider's web. We are going to look at how CJB get the information they need. And that information is here.
This is a database, or rather, a printed copy of all the piping data for CJB here at Sullom Voe. There are 5 other databases too, for things like electrics and instruments and so on. This is the way they keep track of all the parts they require on all their different projects. But, as you can see, it's not so easy to find an individual piece of data in this great big thick file. This is where the computer can help. And to find out more about the computer, we have to go down to London and to talk to Don Bernard, Data Processing Manager.
Running a project from design through construction to bringing the plant on stream involves a lot of computing. For example, materials management alone can involve the ordering and controlling of more than 100,000 different items of equipment. Up-to-date information on each item has to be made available to controllers both at headquarters and out on the site.
But we're interested in how they get access to that data.
In building and accessing a database, we have 2 main options. We can write traditional COBOL programs with COBOL acting as the host language to the database management system, or we can use an inquiry language called Query Language Processor, QLP.
And it's those 2 ways that we shall explore in this program. One way is to use QLP, typing your query directly using a mixture of English words and names from the subschema. The other way is to use a program. But if there isn't one to do just what you want, then these programmers can write one for you. To understand the choices involved, let's look at CJB at work. This man is a materials controller. What does he do?
It's his job to make sure that this equipment or materials gets to the right place at the right time according to the specification that's been laid down by the technologies. In order to do this, the material control is closely related with the planning department, and the whole of the sequence of events of obtaining the material, that's right through the quotations, through to the placing of the order, the inspection of it, and down to the delivery to site, is all done on a time basis.
Materials controllers need times and dates. The latest information is all here in this report. Original delivery, latest forecast, and so on. Regular reports like this are only useful if they are up to date. So how are they produced? For updating and regular reports, it's COBOL programming. That's where the data processing division comes in. Detailed flowcharts specifying programs are prepared by a systems analyst. It's his job to find out exactly what the user wants. And it's also his job to direct the team of programmers.
A lot of tables and information, and whenever...
It's surprising how long commercial programming can take. The structure and layout of each report has to be defined in the program. Every heading, every item in the printout has to be moved to the correct place before printing. Database commands finish up as a very small part of a program. Altogether, it's a long process, which means that there's plenty of scope for errors. Every program has to be checked, and any possible faults identified and corrected. Making a program available when it is wanted depends on identifying requirements in advance. Programmers know that it can take weeks, perhaps months. What appears to be a simple request to a site engineer can be an impossible timescale to a programmer. It's all time, and that's what Sullom Voe don't have. When this comes ashore, you can't afford to wait a month for a program to tell you if its linking pipework has arrived, or if there is any spare on other parts of the site.
You will always get the people on site coming into the office and saying, where is so-and-so? Where is a bit of equipment? Where's me elbow? Where's me tea?
And that brings us to the other way of accessing the database, using a query language. A call for a status report on this part number. A type of 6-inch elbow. The result, then and there on the screen. Or, if preferred, on the adjacent printer. All of this data was in the database. A programmer could have written a conventional COBOL program to retrieve it. But with QLP, you don't need a programmer. You can do it yourself. How does a query language help CJB?
While we found that COBOL programs are necessary for updating the database in a controlled and efficient manner, many of the project reporting requirements can't wait until we're able to allocate a programmer to them. By training the user managers in the use of QLP, we've enabled them to retrieve their information without delay.
So how do you use QLP? Jeff Jones is the database administrator.
Right, well, the simplest type thing we can do is just list a few items off the very top level of the database by typing in list supplier names, and we could try transmitting that, but we've got a lot of suppliers